Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Please let me know if you can hear me. I'm getting some messages from YouTube that the stream status is poor. Everything look good, you guys? You guys can see me, hear me, all that? All right, good. All right, so heads up, there's a short on the pound Aussie, and that's an adjusted entry 8198. So that call just came out on trade today. Trying to get below this blue line, and there it is. Looks like it's triggering in just now. So getting short, and that is targeting 88, 82, 75, and 68. And the stop is at 17, 82, 17 up here. All right. So I don't know. Maybe there's just getting these messages from YouTube. So as long as you guys can hear me, I'm not going to worry about it. Thank you, John, for letting me know. All right, Don in the short, good. Armando, nice to see you. John W. Miles. All right. We have to be mindful that we will soon be rolling over to the N as in noontime contract. Not yet. You can see there's good volume on the June contract, but I would say probably by tomorrow or later today, we'll start seeing some migration. We might even be seeing some volume already on the July contract. And I want to take this opportunity right now to point out a nuance in Spotlight Master Suite that many of you may not be aware of. But right at 9, there was a setup here, and it's a gray trade. It's filtered out. That means there's a filter. The gray color warns you of that. Does anybody know, other than John? John Lizar knows, obviously, but does anyone else know why that trade was filtered out and what you can do with that trade? Which is the next thing I want to share with you. You could actually take that trade, and I'll show you how and when. But do you know why that trade is filtered out? Anybody? Please type it in. And I know there's a little delay, so I'll wait for you to respond before I come back to that. In the meantime, you could see unleaded gas right at 9 a.m. with a really nice long trade. Wasn't watching, so I'm not sure if you had time to get into it. Let me know if anybody got into that trade. As you could see, a beauty. And markets, energy markets they've been great. Armando, that's pretty good. It's not quite the right answer. It's a good guess. Didn't cross on the bottom chart. No, not quite. I'm glad you guys are thinking about it. All right, I'm just going to spill the beans here. There's a filter when the 50 moving average crosses over the 200, the yellow line crossing over this magenta line, that we wait X number of bars before we can get long. And the X number of bars, 20 bars is the default setting that usually is already preloaded in the calculator, but we change it to 8. I use an 8-bar count. And the magenta bar here tells you where the 8th bar is. If you were to make it 20, it would tell you the 20th bar, that one would be magenta. All right, so this is obviously the 5th bar since the crossover. So once you get that 8th bar, as long as you can still grab the entry, which you can right here on these next 2 bars, you can take that trade because now the filter is lifted. Now the calculator isn't staying in sync and reprinting, and I decided not to do that on this design of this strategy because I found that's one of the things with Counterpunch Trader, which can do that in certain cases. Doesn't have this filter, it has other filters, but it became really complicated and confusing for people. So I opted instead to just print the trade in gray and then just kind of teach you guys the technique. So you could use your brain and you don't have to rely on the artificial, the code to always get it, to always do stuff for you. Because then you get a bunch of stuff printing on your chart and it makes the chart noisier. But anyway, that's the 9th bar. You're still at the entry. You could actually take that trade. Or you can just forget about it. I mean, no one says you have to take it, but it is within the rules of the setup. It's past the filter. You're right at the entry. We are allowed to get in sync with trade setups. You don't have to overthink it. And then you grab a really nice trade here. Anyway, I wanted to take the opportunity to point this out to you because I don't really see this very often. It's a nuance and it's rare. It doesn't happen that often. But it sure happened here. And there you go. Hopefully you guys just learned a little new wrinkle with Spotlight. All right, let's look back at this pound Aussie trade. If we can just punch through the 50 moving average and get to target 1, it's only going to be a 10 pip trade, the very minimum, at which point you can move your stop to break even and take a tiny bit off. Let's see if it can get through, though. Hasn't gotten there yet. Meanwhile, while I was talking, there was a short on the YM, which triggered in and lost. So the first trade of the morning on the YM, right there. Not quite ready to go down yet, but maybe now it is because it punched through to a new high without any follow through. So let's see if we get a setup to go short. This one might be better. The failure to follow through could lead to a strong move in the opposite direction. Doesn't mean it will. Sometimes you just get those days where the trend is just strong and continues to go in the same direction no matter what. That could happen too. We'll be looking for the next trade. It could be a short. If it closes below the balance line, we can get a short trade. We have to be ready for that. Quick look at soybeans. This is using Counterpunch. And right at 8:30, what happened? A lot of action. Got to find the right trade. Looks like this one went really fast. No way to grab it. Would have hit the stop, so you're not going to be taking that one. The purple trade, that one would have triggered in. And that one came up through target 1. Didn't hit the stop. That was good for 11 ticks. By the way, the filter that I just pointed out on crude oil prevented the short on the YM. And now you're past the magenta bar. So if it comes back down again, you can decide to take that as well. And we get the similar situation on a different market. But here you can see the filter has helped, keeping you flat as it pushes higher to test these highs. So that's interesting. A little bit ironic or coincidental. So soybeans, amidst all this noise, let's just take a quick look. Got to really kind of walk through this. Make sure that it doesn't look like it didn't go too fast. It was totally tradable because you had more opportunity to grab it over here on the right. And so it triggers into the purple trade. The stop's down here, pops up. That target 1 is a minimal target. Just think ES, right? $50 a point. So that's 2.75 points. And then it comes down and would stop out at break even. It's using the add-on trade, so you really have to kind of follow along. Looking back on it, it's a little trickier to see than when it just happens on the right edge in real time. Like if you're taking that trade, you just know to follow the purple trade, and then you forget the others. Don't worry about them. And that's what happens. So Soybeans got it done again, one and done anyway. The filter preventing a trade that's coming under pressure here. Doesn't look like the YM's finished going down. It's not. Would have stopped out. So there's a case where the filter saves a losing trade. The pound Aussie, it did just barely touch its 10 pip 88.1. It missed by 1/10 of 1 pip, guys. Don't fight over 1/10. I mean, I think you need to scale out a bag of peanuts for yourself here and then move your stop down and protect yourself. It is what it is. The minimum target. I mean, that's literally the minimum target. It looks like it hit it all the way. Let's see. The target is 88, and it got, on my chart, to 88.1, 1/10 of 1 pip. And if you're using another broker, I'm sure you probably got filled. Hopefully you did. But it looks like it's pushing down again here. So make sure you at least get your, there it is. It just went through. So for sure now, you got your 25 or 20% coming off and moving your stop. I mean, I would be very careful not to push my stop down too far yet. Let's give it some room to breathe. But if it goes much further, make sure you lock in at least a break even. So this gray trade is done. Don't worry about taking it now because it would have hit its natural stop. That trade's over on the YM. Wait for a new one. You can see it's had trouble breaking through. There's a trade, heads up, that's at 74. 74, targeting 44 and 28. And the stop is at 11. The YM's been a little bit messy and toppy in here, but it hasn't been able to follow through to new highs. So let's see if we can get a nice 30-point target. Target 1 is a viable place to take profit on this trade. $150 a contract there. And you can see the stop printing at 11. Let's see if we can actually get some movement. So a few times it's made new highs with no follow through. Usually when the trades in the opposite direction work nicely. So let's see if it could at least get to its money management at 47 so we can get to a break-even position. It's got to punch through the 50 moving average. Typically a roadblock to get through. Anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in. These are typically the kind of trades I like to take. When you get the breaking of resistance above with no follow through, oftentimes it sets up a large move in the opposite direction. Of course, it's not always the case, but the odds are very good. And if you're going to take a trade at all, you want to take the ones where the odds are very good. That's the most you can ask for as a trader. Just got to punch through the 50, and I think we're looking good here. And almost at target 1, and we are at target 1. So looking like we're going to be one and done on the YM. If you're going to that first primary target, you hit it. Move your stop to break even. Let's see if we can punch through the 200 moving average. Next stop along the way is target 2 at 228. Almost there. And just about there, and we're there. Target 2 in the bag. That's what I went for. Target 3 is next, 212. Got multiple positions on there. Target 2, 62 points. These are the kind of trades you may want to extend to the larger targets, because the failure to follow through the breakout above new highs, 2 attempts, could lead to a strong move in the opposite direction. And at least it was strong enough to punch through those moving averages and get us to the 2 first targets. The stop just inched down to 71, 271, and now 268, 268 now. Move your stops if you're in that trade. All right, the stop pushing lower, 61 now, trying to get to that third target. Move your stop down. Meanwhile, pound Aussie just inching along slowly, trying to work its way past that 50 moving average. You can see it hasn't quite been able to do so yet. Stuck right on it. And crude oil, yeah, unfortunately, that first get and sink trade would have been the one, because now getting short on another crossover, and this time it happened a few bars after the magenta, this time to the upside, but a lot of velocities. You could see the spread, the fanning out of those 3 moving averages. So if you're using that blue trade, it's giving you a stop and reverse off that 20 SMA. It got long at 81, testing these swing highs. So that first trade would have had you one and done, and now missing that, you're navigating through a little bit of a pullback, a reaction into the blue line. Could get another strong move higher here. This is a real testing area, but for sure it's long now. At adjusting the 78 up 2 ticks and then 1 tick beyond the key level. So 81, targeting 99 and 11, 22, 34, etc. The stop's at 49. So does it have enough juice to continue on another leg higher? This is a pretty strong move up. So on a slower time frame, you would see this. It wouldn't be as many bars, and the reaction might need more time. And maybe there isn't going to be a subsequent leg up. But if there is, you should be in it right now. That's the trade. All right, so targets 3, targets 4, both targets, I should say, getting hit on the YM and the stop moving down to 27. So remember what I said. Let's go back. Breaking out to a new high with no follow through. The filter kept us out of the first short attempt, which was lucky for us. I mean, this is the system working like a charm. Another attempt, of course, there was this first trade here, which was a loser. So the first trade losing. But the second attempt, breaking to a new high again with no follow through, the failure to follow through, breaking out of resistance often leads to a strong move in the opposite direction. Repeat that to yourself 100 times, because when you see these setups, the odds are very good for you. And look what happened. Strong move in the opposite direction. I mean, that's textbook, in my opinion. And multiple position traders here should be very happy. The stop is now at 201, almost at target 4. Maybe Wednesday I'll give you guys a sneak peek on the new Catapult Energy Futures module that I've been working so hard on these past couple months. Looking like we're going to start scheduling a boot camp, Catapult Energy Futures boot camp, which I'm really excited about. And the whisper rumor, which I'm going to leak out now, it's looking like sometime in June, which is only like 5 minutes away, seems like to me. Okay, the YM stops go to 93 and then to 91 actually. Move your stops to 91. Crude trying to push to new highs here. If crude fails here to follow through, that could also set up a nice short. But it seems like it's pretty strong to the upside. Let's see if it can continue. We need to see that follow through. Money management is at 97. So if you get to 97, you can move your stop to break even. Look at the YM fall. Remember what I said. Often sets up a strong move in the opposite direction. I think that qualifies. That's a pretty strong move. Stops at 81 now. It's already beyond its target 4. So the trailer has produced on this one. These are the setups you would want to trail, in my opinion. Love these kind of trades. Just to put it in context, getting short at 74, pushing all the way down to 81. What is that? 93 points? Am I doing the math right? Well, let's call it 103 points now. Move your stop down to 71. And the stop is now moved down to 66. All right, anyway, stopping out at 66. The trade's over. The YM, 2 trades to get it done today. Losing trade here, winning trade here. Depending on how many positions you traded, of course. Maybe if you only traded one position and went to target one, you still didn't need another trade. You could see the entry is right on the 8th bar here on the crossover. I'd be careful on a trade like this. I kind of want to see it test these lows first because we had a pretty strong move down. I don't want to get in on a reaction. Now, if it fails to make a new low and then comes up, maybe that's when you take the trade, even with a little adjustment above that swing level right there, that little spike. Got to be careful. You don't want to get into trades that are reactions to action moves. That's a pretty strong action move down. And the blue line, the 20 SMA, is a good marker for where a reaction could end. And you could see that it kind of ended here, but is the reaction over? I mean, you have to take that trade if it pushes up. I would definitely, let's see, 77. It's a big adjustment up to 84. I don't like to make a 7-tick adjustment. I mean, you could take it right here at 81, I guess. Anyway, it's long now, regardless of where you might have gotten in. But I wouldn't jump in right here right away. I would definitely want to see it test. Made a higher low. Chances are it has enough to get up to its money management level at 207, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I'm done, so I'm not worried about it personally. But that is the next trade. You just, whenever you're trading, you want to try to avoid getting into reaction trades and do your best to ask for a little extra price action confirmation, whether it tests the low, the swing low, breaks to through a resistance level, something additional. This one did. That's kind of how I handle those. You could avoid some losers like that. So you can see it hit its money management, and it's actually hitting target one, I think. 210. Yeah, hit it right on the nail. So that, along, if you're only trading a single position, you're able to get target one here and target one here, you should be power of quitting positive, even with that first losing trade. So the YM really getting it done today. Crude oil, on the other hand, missing that big move higher has made it difficult. Breaking through to a new high and failing to follow through. Could this be setting up a strong move in the opposite direction? Not sure yet. But if it closes below the balance line, we could get a short. We will get a short, for sure. All right, the pound Aussie pushing through its target 2. Pound Aussie's been on quite the winning streak, or I don't want to jinx it. Can't remember what happened 2 Fridays ago, but last week it was 4 out of 5. Counting today, it's 5 out of 6. And I don't remember before that. Maybe it's done better even. But we've been due for a string of winners. Hopefully it continues. Oh, hello, Keith. Thanks for joining us. Keith and I were just chatting on the Trade Hacking Club Discord channel. Keith, what do you like to trade? What were you planning on testing out in the UTA spreadsheet? I'm curious. So it looks like crude oil is not finished testing these highs. Could be that the reaction, like I said, may have needed a little more time. Look at how it found support again at the 20 SMA. So while a reaction is oftentimes a move down, that first move down, 1/3 to 2/3 the distance of the action move, this is a pretty big and strong action move up. And you have to remember this is also happening on slower, bigger time frame charts. So if you could just, in your mind, imagine a slower chart, you wouldn't see so many bars. You might just see a pretty simple looking action move that maybe doesn't look quite so dramatically big as this. And then the reaction becomes all of this. It's not just the first move down to the 20 SMA. It could be that this little consolidation is part of that reaction. Can it produce another action move up? And when? And how big will it be? Or not? Maybe that's all she wrote. We get an action move in the opposite direction. The failure to break, to follow through after pushing through to a new swing level could lead to a strong move in the other direction. Once we get a close below the balance line, there'll be a short setup. There could be one. Right now there would be, with the exhausting dots here. We're only 3 bars to the right. It could be up to 4 bars to the right. So within this bar, or one more bar, or close below the balance line would give a short setup. So we just have to wait and see. Keith, not sure if you could hear me, but if you can, just curious what you were planning on using the UTA with, if there's a particular market or symbol you had in mind. Oh, what other things in here I was going to look at? One thing I wanted to see was the volume on the N chart. So I put the 5 tick edit to the July contract already, just so I could use it to quickly check out the volume, which is at 105,000. So this is a day of split action, right? You've got a lot of migration to the July chart. You have almost 106,000 contracts traded on the July chart. You still have most of the volume on the June chart at 132,000, but not much more. So that often makes for a little bit of dicey price action as people are migrating over, leaving the June and going to July or whatever. Tomorrow, make sure you are on the July contract. And here is your short. And it's not that big of one. 1, 2, 3 bars over from the exhaustion dot there. So You want to move that to 72. If you're going to take that short, 72. Small trade setup because of the distance from that setup bar to the exhaustion dots is pretty small. So this could move up and cancel, of course. This reaction is still happening. Notice that it's still finding support on the blue line. And this looks like a bullish consolidation if you think about it. It's turning into the ascending triangle type of pattern here. It's typically bullish, just a larger reaction, but that 20 SMA just doing a really great job of showing us where the reaction is finding support. So let's see if it breaks up. We're still in that long trade. If you're trading crude oil, that long trade's still in. The green trade's still valid, but if it closes above the balance line one more time, the green trade will cancel. Not a whole lot to do here, guys. Just anything else we could look at? You guys could please remember to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It really helps. We do have a full schedule this week. John will be in here tomorrow and Thursday. I believe I will be in here on Wednesday. I'll definitely do the crude oil report. I haven't figured out the early session yet. I'm still on location. Oh yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, those are two separate sessions. So you're over in London. Yeah, I got you. I've learned how to read the fat finger syndrome because I suffer from it too. No worries. Hitting two keys at once or whatever. But anyway, I figured you were over there in Europe when you put in the XAU USD, because we don't have too many brokers. I don't know of any really that let you trade those kind of crosses on MT4. I'm guessing you're using MT4, yeah? Maybe something else. Okay, Ari, can you clarify for me the days we were able to try and learn the system we just purchased for Forex? It was my understanding that YouTube days are Monday. Yeah, they usually are. Last week we had a couple days off. We try to do the 4 days a week, but sometimes there are days that we take off for various reasons. Usually it's for traveling or some other reason. Can't just clone myself or John. There's only the two of us. But we're pretty consistent. And then, when you come in, any questions you have, this is the time to ask. I mean, I'm happy to pull up charts and take a look at whatever is on your mind. So you got me now. I'm not sure what system you're referring to when you said you purchased something for Forex, because I've got a variety of different offerings. Keith, yeah, well, don't be embarrassed. I mean, we've all suffered through the school of hard knocks. It's what trading, let that be the gravel that ends up in your foundation and makes your foundation going forward stronger. Once you start winning and making money, all that education cost ends up paying off for many traders. And you're not the only one. I would say that it would be rare if anybody did not experience what you did. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Just, determine yourself to fix it. Seems like you are. So good for you. And Ari, once again, anything you'd like me to show you, the strategy you're referring to would be helpful, because I really don't know what it is until you tell me. But that's why we do the trade room, for you to ask questions. This was designed to teach traders my most current strategies. Spotlight Master Suite has been the most current strategy, apart from Catapult. Catapult is a slower trade. It's not really conducive for the trade room. 5-minute charts tend to last a long time, but I'm certainly willing to pull them up and look at them. When the Catapult Energy Futures module comes out in June, that one will have faster charts and momentum bar charts and different charts that we will be able to use here in the trade room, which I'm excited about. All right, so heads up on crude oil. There's a new short, again, right on the 20 SMA. Notice the 20 SMA flattening out. This trade replaces the green trade. The green trade canceled. The short would be at 74. We're going to adjust it 2 ticks down, plus get it below the swing level. The key level of 75, and it may cancel again. In fact, we're pushing to new highs. So this trade, short trade, is going to cancel again. Spotlight doing a pretty good job. You can see that the big action move up has created a slower reaction. All of the pullbacks terminating at the 20 SMA and now breaking to new highs on that ascending triangle, which, like I said, is a bullish pattern. So let's see now if it can get to money management, at least to get to a break-even position right there. That's the next stop along the way. As I was saying, Spotlight Master Suite, the more current system. I try to represent Counterpunch also, which I do throughout, periodically. We got the soybeans chart, which is a really good one because it gets done quick and it's consistent. It's been working for years. We got the crude oil that we do. I trade every week for the inventory report, but there's only so much real estate I can show. Can't just show a zillion charts. So then it's up to you to ask me questions on anything that's on your mind, and then I'm happy to look at whatever, and we'll walk through things, and I'll try to get your questions answered. So, all right, let's see. Rob, are all these instruments on the screen being auto traded? No, Rob, they are not. I don't believe in auto trading. Auto trading complicates things. Things can go wrong, and they do all the time. So we use bracket orders with templates. I took one trade so far this morning, the Dowie Mini. Not trying to trade all these charts. I'm not a glutton for punishment. I don't like to work so hard. There was a time when I tried to trade all this stuff, and I realized it wasn't very productive. Pick one. Pick a good one you believe in, one you've proven to yourself. Maybe two. You can do more. But what happens when you're trading trade plans and they all fire off at the same time? You don't want that. Auto trading, I mean, you could do it. There are ways to do it. You can become good at it even. But you have to be ready to jump in and intervene at any moment when things go wrong. And they will. And what if they go wrong on multiple trades? All right, hitting money management, move your stop to break even, and hitting target one on crude oil. So really great lessons to be learned with this crude oil chart today, especially with the filter, the getting in sync, having that nice long winning trade. If not, you got the short, trading into a reaction that fails, stops and reverses to long. Nice slow reaction, more extended. Is this the next phase of another leg higher? Seemingly, how much energy does that leg have? Did it use it all up in the first move up? Yet to be determined. But that blue trade, a winner, and still going, and you'll want to move your stop to break even at this point. Yeah, so I mean, if you're good at MT4, I mean, MT4 is a nice old platform. I just find it tedious for back testing, but some traders just are really good at it. I know some guys that are better at MT4 than I am at TradeStation. So as long as you know how to use your charts, the important thing is being able to test and prove and go through those preliminary pre-production steps that I talk about in the book you referenced. Okay, look at the stop now on crude. It's moved up to 87. So beyond its break-even point. Rob, are you interested in auto trading? I'm curious why you asked that question. I know that I get a lot of inquiries about it. I could see the allure. It's definitely a sexy concept. I'm just a believer that you'll do better when you can actually trade yourself. And I know one of the problems that a lot of traders have is just the time and the need to be focused with attention. And that's a valid concern. Most traders that want auto trading feel they can't just focus and stare at charts all day long. And that's a valid concern. That's why we simplify things with trade plans that have short windows of time. So we learn to be focused and attentive for a short period of time. And we prove to ourselves we can quit positive a majority of the time with minimal and efficient trading. Few trades. And like this, you solve the time and attention problem. And yet you could still try to do the auto trading. Can be done, but you still have to be attentive. That's the thing. Here's the irony. If you're going to do auto trading, you need to be even more attentive. Because what if the system thinks you're filled and the broker didn't fill you on an exit? I mean, you could see where that could lead, right? It's a slippery slope to a potential disaster where you lose control of the trade altogether. And that's going to happen at some random time, anytime. So if you're auto trading, you literally have to be more attentive To me, it's much easier to click a stop limit order on my matrix with a template with handles where I just slide the handles to the stops and targets. That's less maintenance and easier to trade than auto trading, in my opinion, when you look at a lot of trades and all the stuff that can go wrong with auto trading. You lose your internet connection. The broker, whatever reason, doesn't fill you and cancels your handle. That happens. Now what? So much can go wrong with auto trading. So the trade assist automation is really more valuable for prospecting and trade planning and back testing and putting together the right mix of trades. I find it's more useful for swing trading for the most part, but there's some good day trade stuff you can discover with it, especially when you get into the more advanced tools like Spotlight, Master Suite, Diamond Level, for example, because of all the setups and all the stuff you can do and testing to see if filters are productive or not, where the best entry might be, key level adjustments. So much you could test with the Trade Assist automation to help you really flesh out a good trade plan with the right settings that's going to work for your market, your chart, your time frame that you want to trade. But you can't escape the manual effort that Keith is doing with his UTA spreadsheet either. You kind of have to use all the tools at your disposal. A winning trade plan is not easy to come up with. If it were easy, everyone would do it and trading would be illegal. Think about that. Same with auto trading. Sometimes I think they make it imperfect on purpose because, again, no one's just going to let the little peon home trader like us just print money. That's a fantasy world. And yet some auto trading works, but you still have to deal with the imperfections of it. So as long as you know what to do and what to look for and how to intervene manually when things go wrong, that's an acquired skill. It's something that you have to practice and learn, just like anything else. You could get really good at auto trading. But it's something you want to practice in a sim account. You got to get your maneuvers down and you got to think of every situation that can go wrong and what you're going to do when that happens and how are you going to recognize it when it happens. All those things. It's more complicated. It's harder to do than just trading with a bracket order template that's pre-made up where you click a button. To me, that's easier, but that's, just my opinion. But Rob, hopefully that helps, at least with your thinking. I'm not trying to shoot your idea down if that's something you're interested in, but I am trying to paint a broad stroke picture so that you know what's involved when it comes to auto trading. And maybe you're not interested in that at all. You're just wondering if I'm doing it. I don't know. I'm just reacting to your comment because it's interesting and it gives me something to talk about. Is that fair? But feel free to follow up if you'd like. So the stop on crude is just pushed up to 89 now. It's only two trades that are working at the moment, the crude oil trade and the pound Aussie, that we're interested in. Everything else is finished, positive. Unleaded finished, soybeans finished, YM finished. Yeah, sure thing, Rob. Believe me, I'm like everyone else. I'm easily seduced by the idea of having a robot take my trades for me and fill my account with money. Who doesn't want that? But I'm also a realist with just more hours of experience than I care to count because it reminds me how freaking old I am. And I realize that the last thing I need right now in my life is more complications. So I just keep it simple. let the power of compounding do its thing over time with simple trade plan or plans that I know work and have worked over the years. Or what my personal style actually is more of looking for the situations that I'm constantly pointing out to you guys here in the trade room. Certain situations that occur on a chart, and when I see them happening, I'll jump on the trade, even if it's a market or time frame. I'm not, consistently trading, but I see the setup. For example, the YM. And the YM gave us like almost a double dose because it was just so juicy I couldn't resist. And I like trading the YM anyway with Spotlight early in the session. But like what I always say, the breakout to a new high with no follow through, and it happened twice, and the first one was filtered out, which was lucky. But when the second one happened, where it broke to a new high with no follow through again, that next setup was just too good to not take. Even I don't care what symbol. I was all over that. And the breakout to a, with no follow through often leads to a strong move in the opposite direction. You should be able to say that to yourself 100 times really fast till you believe it and understand it, because it happens so often. And it's such a great trade. Even if it loses, it's still a great trade because the odds are so high that it's not going to lose and it's going to win big. So you lose a few, like this one would have been a loser here if it wasn't for the nice filter that kept us flat. But then the second one, a big winner. Still a good trade versus the first green trade, which you didn't have a breakout with no follow through. You had a big move that was nothing but follow through. So that first green trade was a reaction to maybe set up a new action move higher. And it was a new action move higher, wasn't much of an action move. And all that's good information for getting short when that next setup occurred. So I'm always careful with the first, reactions. I'm always looking for additional information, like a test of the highs. If it makes a lower high, okay. If it comes back down, you take that short. If it makes a new high, it's going to cancel that trade because it's going to hit the stop. You'll be glad you weren't in it. And then you just wait for the next one or the next one. If it happens, could have got a long setup and another leg higher too. So I let price action tell me, but those are the kind of trades I look for, that I like to take. You can learn to specialize in certain situations using whatever tools you use. All right, target 2 getting hit on crude oil. Look how perfect that target was. Looks like this market still might go higher, but it did get to 66.11. One of the contributors to your slow progress. You're referring to MT4, Keith? You should open up a small TradeStation account, get those Forex charts for free, do your testing on that. You can trade with any broker you want, take the trades off of TradeStation. Usually the quotes are pretty close enough. But it makes for testing. I mean, it gives you the ability to, unless you're just comfortable with the MT4, and there may be ways that you can learn technique to make it easier. So the stop on crude has moved higher, 92. You can see on the Russell chart another case. I mean, this chart's pretty noisy, but if you can strip away the noise and see how it stabbed through to a new high here and failed with no follow through, the strong move in the opposite direction. Well, I'm pretty much ready to wrap things up, guys. So let me give you a few moments to gather your thoughts and think of any last minute questions you'd like me to answer. Please do so if you have any. Keith, again, if you send me an email, I will send you a UTA spreadsheet that should work for you. Give you a few more moments because I know there's a little bit of a delay here, but I'm getting ready to say goodbye to you guys. Don't forget, John will be in tomorrow. Please hit the like button. I know YouTube ends up going back and erasing a lot of those likes. Who the heck knows what they're up to these days? It is what it is. Any likes you guys want to give me, I'd appreciate it. All right, then. Assuming I've answered all your questions, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Don't forget, by the way, if you haven't joined our Trade Hacking Club Discord channel, you can do so. Cancel culture. I guess so, huh, John? Dios mío. You might have a point there. On the YouTube description, the one you just joined today in my earlier videos, you will see a link that you can click on that'll pop you right into our Trade Hacking Club Discord channel. If you haven't done so already, you're welcome to join. I'll be announcing another Trade Hacking Club session before too long. I'm a little bit spread out thin these days with trying to get Catapult Energy Futures ready to go. Just making so much exciting progress on it. I'm looking forward to sharing some of that with you guys. But other than that, everyone have a wonderful day. And don't forget, John will be here tomorrow, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.